everyone, and welcome back to Mohit Studios. And today I'm gonna show you how to do a podcast in the special site of Anchor, which is owned by Spotify Inc., a very special music digital platform. So first things first, you need to have an account. It can be any type of account: a normal email account, a Gmail account, Facebook account, Twitter account, or any other account, whatever you feel is you think fit. Once you're done, you'll get this welcome screen, and you got 5 special steps to be done. The first thing, make a first episode. So when you click this thing, you will get 4 buttons: record, library, messages, and transitions. If you rather want to record, you can do it directly in the browser itself. Library gives you the opportunity to view all your recorded playlists. Voice messages, that is different. That is kind of only for if you made your podcast public, that I'll explain later. And transitions, this will give the set the tone of your episodes. So without wasting any more time, let's start recording. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, come on, I don't want to wait for this. I waited for this. And here it goes. The high moment has come. Oh, hello there. Kind of, I just decided to do a test podcast. This test podcast, as you know, is kind of for a YouTube video. That's kind of hard to believe, but it's true. You could tell anything from this to all serious information once you make a podcast public. But right now, this podcast I'm recording is just for you people to understand how to use this interface. I mean, take advantage of it. So, coming back to where we were, once the podcast is done, it shows the uploading state as well as its processing state. You can also change the name as well if you like. By default, the podcast will be saved in the date name, that is of the month, the day, and the year. Let's listen to the podcast and see how it came. Generally, it will take some time to load, so we'll have to wait. Oh, hello there. Kind of, I just said. Sometimes to do a test podcast. This test podcast, as you know, is kind of for a YouTube video. That's kind of hard to believe, but it's true. Okay, so this came out well. So if you click this plus button, it will get added to the add to episode. The add to episode will be coming in the right column. It's an even smaller rectangle, and you can preview your final playlist of all the sounds you want to combine into a podcast. That is sounds and the spoken audio file. Sounds in the sense actually come from the transitions column. So we got these many transitions to set the mood for your tones. Great. I prefer this exclamation mark thing. And thank you thing.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, not the thank you thing. Fine, I'll try tomorrow. These both are actually my personal favorites. And if you want to rearrange the lineup of the audio files, you just have to click like this in this dotted column and push them up or pull them down. And now let's preview the episode. Oh, hello there. Kind of, I just decided to do a test podcast. This test podcast, as you know, is kind of for a YouTube video. That's kind of hard to believe, but it's true. What I just showed now was just an example podcast. If those of among you decide to become podcasters, well, try not to do that because you might as well as have to do serious information podcasts. So if you click the save button, you got this. You'll be redirected to the episode option site. So you got to give an episode title. Oh, don't mind those things that came in the white box, by the way. Test podcast. I would rather call that test podcast and podcast for my video. Like, what to call it? Tutorial. There's the publish date. If you rather want to publish it now itself, you're most welcome to do that. Or we can schedule. I would rather do it now. Season number. So that's season number, episode number. And you got the episode type, content. And kind of when you're done, it's time to click publish now. So this we got episode published. And you got another window where you have to set up your podcast. Okay, so you might as well have to fill this. I'll call that podcasting testers. You can fill in description, choose a category, a language. But I'd rather do this later. And this has three options: Facebook, Twitter, or copy links so that you can place it in other sites, or you can also convert to a blog post. I could as well as do this later. So this is the interface of your original podcast, right? Let's get back to the dashboard. The dashboard is where your guide to setting up your podcast continues. So this is your podcast setup, and this is the window which I mentioned earlier is actually known as the podcast setup. So give me a minute to do that. What kind of uh, um, call it? And next is the podcast category. Anything, but my biggest preference should be personal journal. And language, it's English, as you all know. And once you have filled, it's time to continue. And then you'll need a cover art that is, it has to be so creative that people must think, wow, this podcast looks great, I'll take part with it. And three options should be there for a cover art: search for a photo, upload an image, choose one for me. Upload image, that will gain access to your desktop's files, and you'll have to find the image you want and upload it for your cover art. Search for a photo, that gains a searching option, and the search is powered by some site called Unsplash, which offers images completely free. Or choose one for me. The AI system will use it and randomize and choose a image. So this is the image that came for me. Looks more like a symmetrical pattern. And this scroll bar, as you see, must be the zoom in zoom out option, as you see. I can click continue, and anyhow for now I will choose one, the choose one for me option, and add text. supply text, show log, anchor logo on cover art. If you remove it, it won't be there. But for those who are taking part in Anchor, I would mostly recommend you keep this thing on as well as this apply text. So that text, anchor logo, these both will combine together to tell who you actually are and what podcasting site to use. So I hope all of you know what this means: font, alignment, and color. So you can now click update cover art, and your cover art's ready. This might take some time, so we'll have to hang on. Next option is called distribute your podcast. There are two options. Yes, distribute my podcast means the site itself will take your podcast and distribute it across every platform. But I'll do this myself, it's a different version. It means you will have to go to every site yourself and place requests for your podcast to be recognized in all the podcasting sites. So for the time being, let's click yes, distribute my podcast so that it will do the work for us. Sometimes this will come, so I have to click retry, and now it has come. Okay, thanks. Means I have to refresh if you need the changes to take effect. Next option is set up monetization. This is optional though. It's like if you promote your podcast everywhere, you'll get fundraisers. That is, those who want to sponsor your show will promote it and expecting funds in return for some noble cause. Might look nice, but that means you'll have to get a lot of permissions. I have to accept that your show is not violating any copyrights. This might be a time taking process, and this step is the most time taking of all. So, for the time being, we can say not right now. And with this, the tutorial is complete. All that's left to do is tell people about your podcast. As soon as you get a few plays, the site will show its analytics here. So, with this, we're all done with the tutorial. So when you want to kind of share it, you'll have to click any of these buttons. Copy URL. It will copy the URL and you can place it here. And this is how the podcasting site will look like. When people in public see it. This is your settings option. In distribution, you can see your RSS feed and this listening platforms where your anchor podcast is placed, and this is manual distribution. If you had enabled manual distribution, you can place the requests as well as paste the links there. And all of these is the extra things: advanced settings, podcast connect code, and redirect URL. This thing, as far as I know, is only for podcasters who are leaving old sites. No, podcasters who are leaving Anchor and going to a different podcasting site. This is what they call it: redirect my podcast. If you wish to update your settings, you can always go into settings, go drop down and update settings. You can even fill your name and your website if you really like to do so. Got this connections and delete account. If you feel like you no longer want to use your podcasting site, you can click delete account, and however, deleting your podcasting site will not help you to get it back once and for all. But for those podcasters who've been using Anchor for a long time and wish to delete, you might as well as have to think twice. So that includes redirecting your podcast first and then deleting it. So with this, we have now come to the end of our podcasting tutorial video. Thank you for watching the video, and don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe to my channel. Bye all.